Hi, my name is Philip Ryken. I am the president of Wheaton College.
Dr. Philip Ryken, good to see you. Welcome back to Exegetically Speaking.
Thank you, Dr. Capes. It's always good to be invited back for something. I have to confess, I usually think of it as amateur hour when I come on the podcast because I know I am not a Bible scholar the way some of our amazing Old and New Testament scholars are, but I do love the Bible and teach the Bible. I love to learn from the Bible in its original languages.
Well, you're a master at it, believe it or not. I mean, you may not believe it, but others think
I just like to respect the work that our real Bible scholars do.
But, people who are pastors, people who are popular theologians, bloggers, influencers out there, we've got a lot of people who are doing biblical languages these days.
I encourage everybody to get as much of the Bible as they can, and part of that is if you get any chance to learn a little Hebrew and Greek and just get a feel for the Bible in its original languages. It goes a long way for understanding the world of the Bible.
It does. All right, Hebrews chapter 1 is where we are today.
Yeah, I'd like to be in Hebrews today. And what an amazing book. I mean, I'll probably get distracted about 5 times because there's so many just great things. But what an amazing opening. This book explaining so many things about the Old Testament sacrificial system, the temple, priestly ministry of Jesus Christ. It begins here, it opens with such a high exaltation of the person and work of Jesus Christ. And It says, look, God's spoken in the past. He's spoken through the prophets. And we've learned a lot about God from what he said in the past. But now he has spoken in an absolutely unique way through the person of his own Son.
It's really a final and definitive definition of God for us, isn't it, as Christians?
Yeah, it's the definitive revelation of the person and the character of God. And the author aims from the very beginning to exalt the person and work of Jesus Christ, to get it as high up as it can possibly go, really elevate it in our praise, in our expectation. It's really a celebration of who Jesus is.
So we're looking specifically at verse 3 today.
Let me get a little bit of a running start, if I may, David. I use various translations. I somewhat prefer the English Standard Version, but we're so blessed to have so many translations in English that give us really the authentic scriptures and bring us very close as we can get to the original. God, who at various times and in various ways spoke in time past to the fathers by the prophets, has in these last days spoken to us by his Son, whom he has appointed heir of all things, through whom also he made the worlds, who being the brightness of his glory and, here it is, the express image of his person.
Express image, that's the key.
Express image. Now, if we were reading along in English, as we have been, if we knew our Bibles pretty well, we would connect this with other things that are said about the image of God. I mean, that goes all the way back to Genesis chapter 1. Our first parents, Adam and Eve, were made in the image and likeness of God. It's what distinguishes human beings from all other creatures, this God-likeness about us. And so when you see express image, you might think, this is the image of God, the way we talk about it for all
just
people.
Another Adam, but it's more than that.
No, it's more than that. And you get a little clue in English because they're trying to translate the Greek here. I'm reading the New Geneva Study Bible here. It has the word express, the express image. It's a little clue that there's a word here that we're trying to describe in English, and there's nothing in English that quite captures it. Now, the Greek word here is the word character, or as we would say in English, character, but that doesn't really convey it, because when we think of character, we think maybe a character in a book or a play, somebody who's a real character. You've probably interviewed some of those.
We've had a few. We've had a few
on this podcast. But the Greek word more literally means an impression as of a seal on wax. And there's something interesting that happens here. And I think actually there's a little bit of an analogy to the English word stamp. If I say the word stamp, you might think first of a physical stamp that you lick and put on an envelope.
Right, postage stamp.
But we also use the word stamp for the physical act where something is struck, an image is struck. It might be struck on a coin, perhaps, or I suppose printed on a stamp. Some forms of printing, you might have something that's stamped on a stamp that you put on your letter. But actually in the Greek language, it was the physical object that made the impression that was also considered to be the stamp. So the stamp is the thing that strikes, it's the act of striking, and it's the thing that struck. That's how the word character. So now let's just think about that for a minute. If you think about human beings just generally made in the image of God, there is something struck upon us that's the divine image, kind of like on a coin. You've got a coin. It has a head on it, perhaps of Caesar back in the day, or
George Washington.
Just the name of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Now, that's not the original person. It's not the original George Washington, the original Caesar, Abraham Lincoln, but it's an image of that person. And in the same way, we bear the image of God. We are not divine, but we are God-like because of the image of God in us. Jesus is different as the unique Son of the Father. And the Greek language is trying to get at that here with this word character. He's the one that's actually making the image because he is himself very God. So we wrestle with this in English language, different translations.
My translation says it is the exact imprint. So it
the
goes
exact
back.
Imprint.
Express imprint, exact imprint. It's hard for us to kind of grasp that.
Yeah,
idea.
And it's not even just the imprint, it's actually the thing that strikes the image.
Yeah.
So this is an example of where anytime you translate from one language to another, there are some things that translate very readily and almost immediately. It's pretty much the same word. Or there's a word in the language that matches very closely. Sometimes, though, there's a little gap there, and you have to work with your language to try to express it as well as you can. This is a passage in Hebrews where the author is trying to elevate the person and work of Jesus Christ in showing his uniqueness as the Creator God, the one through whom God made all the worlds. He's the one that is the final word from the Father. But in his own being, in his own personhood, he is the express image of the Father, and it's striving to put into words the uniqueness of the person of Jesus Christ. This is the second person of the Trinity.
Yeah, it's just sort of just piled up there, and it just stacked up.
What would really be great is if we could talk about all of these images, but we'll just focus here on the express image.
Character. Yeah, exactly. Wonderful reading of that text, Dr. Ryken. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Capes.
It's always good to have President Ryken join us for this podcast. He's my former boss. I always want to refer to him as Mr. President, only proper, I guess. If you're a pastor or church leader and you have a promising young man or woman in your congregation and they're interested in the Bible, there's no better place than Wheaton College to attend and to get that training, especially in biblical languages. Go to the show notes, and there you're going to find links so you can follow to get more information. Thanks to our editor, my wife, the fetching Kathy Capes. Thanks to John Lonsma, who directs our Wheaton-based team. Thanks to Rebecca Larson and Jesse Dugan, who help us produce this podcast. Thanks to David Capes and Phil Keggy for our music. Exegetically Speaking is a podcast of the friends and faculty of Wheaton College, Wheaton, Illinois, and the Lanier Theological Library in Houston, Texas. Until next time, I'm David Capes. Thanks for listening.